Hey guys, back with us? No, it's not back with us. You see us for the first time. This is a vlog from Comxnaut in a section we call Uncle Says What?
I say what I say.
Okay.
Right down the middle.
For those of you that has know us yet, we are Comxnaut. Actually, there's one more person that missing from here, but it's because we are on a holiday. We're shooting here in Bandung, Indonesia, in this beautiful cafe. We call it 100 Luck Coffee in Mogens guest house. So if you ever visit Bandung, you won't see us because we'll be back in Singapore, but you can stay in this beautiful place. Okay, back to this Uncle Says What Comxnaut vlog. We talk about comic books, but especially we talk about comic books that this guy, a very well-known comic shop owner in Singapore, is it?
Yeah, true.
Nah.
True.
When boy says he wants Venom.
And we will just hear from him what he has to say about one particular comic book, and hopefully we can make a series out of it.
Well, with your support,
Yeah.
of course.
Like, share, and subscribe. I don't know what will we add those lower third buttons.
Yeah,
Can you
we
do that? Can we hire someone to do that?
I think we can.
Yeah. Okay. I'm Ecky, and this one is.
My name is Ronald. Pleased to meet you.
And of course, Uncle Nik. I'm just your old uncle who used to bring comics, this little hobby, to a little island called Singapore. You know where is it? I think you do. Well, I think our job is done. Most people do know what is Western comics. Back in the days of early 90s, you only can get comics from the Mala shop, if anybody know. They will hang it up on the thread, just pull it.
Is it like the one now we see the uncle shop in Marina Square?
Yes, exactly that. But he is specialized on just selling all comics. But back then you have the Mala who sells sweets, whatever, all your provision shop, little things. So they will have a little line of comics, and back then we will save up to the week. We are given pocket money for the week, and me and my friends each will buy one, and we will share. Well, that was then. These days you guys connected. I don't know.
I heard this guy first met in your comic shop.
Oh yes, this little boy. No, he's not there. Just still a boy. In case you girls want to know, was looking for his. Okay, you got Venom with me.
Venom.
Yeah.
That's the first one.
Yep.
Yeah, is it?
Yes.
Correct. Why?
The first thing when I got Venom, okay, is like where I wanted the book, right? Is because from TV animated series.
All the Spiderman animated series.
Yes,
that's where you first saw Venom.
That's right. That's right.
I see.
So that is why when I went to his shop, first thing I asked was, "Uncle, you got Venom or not?"
Do you remember my response?
Oh, you still remember?
I think I told him it's on the wall.
Yeah.
Well, back then those higher value stuff we do stick on the wall as display, but it's usually not that expensive in comparison to today.
I think during the past was around $5 to $10.
More like 12.
Oh, yeah, $12.
Well,
The one I bought from the Venom from you was 12.
Oh, see.
okay, that's a good segue for our main event today because we're gonna talk about this comic from way back from the 2000.
It was new yesterday, but now you call it way back.
Why don't you show the physical copy? You don't have the physical copy? Is
Sorry, guys. Also,
it expensive now?
well, that's why we are talking about this. This little book here was one of those that came out during the time of the start of revelting.
After the 90s styles.
This book came out, and a lot of retailers was not very confident about it because there were several retold of the Spider-Man origin. The one just before this was called Chapter 0 or what? Chapter what? It was by drawn by John Byrne.
But different series.
different series. That one, it's a whole by itself, 12 issues. This one is an ongoing series, and we are all over again. So it was,
Which is not strange for today.
yeah. The virus started here. Well, this came out and we're not very confident, but we do welcome the fact that Nik Bagley was back drawing Spider-Man. In fact, back then there was a regular monthly comic magazine, if you guys remember, called Wizard.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, they always have their top 10 writers and artists. Nik Bagley was never in the top until he did Ultimate Spider-Man.
But he's synonymous with Spider-Man.
Yes.
Is it before this or
He
after
was,
this?
in the interviews, he was not particularly impressed that he was in the top.
And I declined it.
Yeah.
And then they called back, and I declined it again.
One or two, I think. So he was saying, I've been drawing Spider-Man for the last decade. Why now? I didn't change it. If you guys notice his artwork, it actually is the same. But that's what we all grow to know. Spider-Man, like that. Alright, of course, this is the cover. And we have the retold of the tale, the spider and all.
So it's the origin story.
Yes.
All
So
over again.
All over again. We're like,
In the year 2000. After how many?
was it late 90s or 2000? I can't remember, somewhere there. So there we go. You know, him get bullied, eventually get bitten by the spider. In fact, the Tobey Maguire's movie was loosely based on this, to a lot of references that you can directly see.
Even the Tobey Maguire reference is also way back yet.
Yep.
Yep.
This guy is really old.
Yeah.
Hey. Well, back then was new, and now if you talk about Spider-Man, you think of your newer
Andrew?
Miles Morales, Andrew Garfield, all this, and then when you talk about Toby, he's like, in fact, his recent appearance is already old.
Toby is the OG. We all always remember the dance.
But it's only for a short while. The one that truly stays in our minds was the first Spider-Man. It was like, wow, this is what we always wanted. The OG, or I would say, superhero movies,
Comic book movie.
Yeah.
The one that
Marvel Universe.
100% like satisfying.
Yes.
Nice.
There was nothing wrong, particularly wrong with it. And my confidence over Sam Raimi, always been a fan, is how he transcend his horror genre storytelling to superhero. It's actually well themed, if you look at it close. But, you know, it's very different. How he, I wouldn't say jump scare, but how he focuses.
It is jump scare, but some Raimi's jump
Yeah.
scares.
So he's famous for his jump scare.
How about you, Ron? Did you read this series, The Ultimate Spider-Man?
Wow.
Do you remember anything about it?
A bit, but not much. Because, like I said, the first thing is that after when Venom came out, I actually stopped reading Spider-Man so much.
He's only Venom.
Venom, yes.
All Venom. Eddie Brock. Is it Eddie Brock that you like?
Yeah, Eddie Brock.
Not the rest of the. Who was it?
Like
The son of.
Carnage, all those are.
No, the other space Venom.
Oh,
Okay, keep.
I'm the one who asking, so it's the one that know everything about comic books.
yeah.
Well, that's all I know. But from, I wouldn't say most of the 60s, but 70s to 80s, 90s, 2000s, and slowly. I don't really know comics these days. I question myself these days when I read a regular comic, a new comic. There's a certain fear. I might not like it or piss me off, I don't know. Too woke, I guess.
You have a different opinion, please write down in the comments.
Yeah.
Let's make this uncle from the 90s read comics, read new comics. But you still
I
read
do
the
try, but sometimes I question the way storytelling is, as we observed back in the 80s, 70s, all the way to the 90s. As you see, As you can see, panel structure and all that, that's what we do. Keep by that.
Yeah, that's what I want to ask. What can we learn about this particular comic?
Okay, if you can see, this is one we call the establishing shot. It establishes where these characters are. And then slowly, as you go, obviously this background is not the same as this, but you clearly know that's inside the house. Your brain fills up the gap in between the panel. These days, I find the panels are quite fancy. Not that it's not nice, but like we discussed before, whether it's necessary. I know.
It's a good drawing, but
Yeah,
as a
very fancy.
comic book is a media to say information.
Correct.
So if you have too much information, you might get like misleading
Yeah.
or
So-
distracting.
Yes, true.
So you see, always in a page they have a close-up. They have a shot of. Yeah, I know somebody did always have a shot, a panel that you have a character with feet.
Ah.
I think this is called depth. Clearly, so yeah, most of the time you will see things like that.
I remember someone said to me that if you draw a single comic page, make sure that at least one panel is showing a full body of the character.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, we all learn from that, and it's been through observation and such. So there are not many books back then talk about how you would structure storytelling or create a comic. These days, don't talk about books, you can find it online. Yeah, so it's quite easy. So you can see all these fancy shots, and there we go. Whether it's necessary, for this story, yes, because the issue 1, this is the highlight. When the spider bit Peter Parker, you know what happens then, right? As you go on, then you feel strange. And behind this, there's a backstory on Norman Osborn. So this was clearly different from before, because as we know, in actual Amazing Spider-Man, Norman Osborn appears
Way later.
does not influence his whole becoming.
So this is the first time that they put it like closer in time wise.
Yes.
And that's how they show it on the movies. Yes. The Toby and the
Yeah.
Andrew always like that.
Yeah. So these were back then, the pace of storytelling back in the 60s, 70s were slower. Should I dare say we are slower?
Rather we like a snail.
Nah, man. But that's how it is. We like to keep gaps that you can leave it to your imagination. For these days, they are very fast after the MTV.
Yeah. Like everything is an event, and
Yes.
so many subplot is
All linked.
in the same time.
And as we remember back then, we read, if they refer to certain events back in issue, what had a corner of the pen. We will go
There's a
back and look
comic.
for it.
And a good marketing ploy.
Yes, it works in its way. Well, back then also they mainly cater this to comic fans. I don't think they were particularly looking for a certain age, but comic fans in general. At that time, during the turn of the century, they will start by looking at other mediums, book readers, mainstream movie goers, how they would tell a story. This changes everything also, even in movies, right? So here we go, some action, more lines than usual, very beautifully drawn.
Anything new or innovative in this issue, art-wise, for you?
I won't say it's digital coloring. It's already existed back before it, but this is like the point that they really
Properly
put
done.
it. Yeah, won't be too much, but you still can feel that it's drawn not by AI, but yeah,
But I think
that's for another time.
even if this kind of technical, and we're talking about technicalities, right? If this one is published today, the coloring, like at least, it's still on par with
Yeah,
today's coloring.
definitely. It
And
still
it's 20
stands.
years ago.
And that's why, even up to today, after about 30 years, almost, people are still looking for this issue, and it's still one of those key issues that you call it. Yeah,
How
but
many key issues on the series?
quite a few.
10? 20?
No, not so much. So the most key is this. I mean, back in those days in the 90s, you talk to the uncle about key issues. Say, what key? To the gate, to the toilet? I don't know. But anyway, you call it key issues. So, yeah. With
Hey,
real,
can you go back? Why there's no sound effect? It's screeching definitely.
yes, yes. Maybe back then they don't want to fill up the panel too much. As you can see, it's already very packed.
It is quite silent page.
Yeah. There are a few that are like, this is almost silent.
Yeah.
This is actually a silent. Well, pictures tells 1,000 words. You all know that.
And we can know there's a spider sense
Yeah.
working.
So you see, the picture actually tells you the story. These days, I find there's too much description. Oh, this, that, they did this, blah, blah, blah. Then it's all like snapshots, but there's a continuity that you can see where it's going. There's a direction. Well, those who draw comics would definitely know this. For yeah, things like that. See, if it's a flashback, they got the corners color.
Yeah.
You know that? These days, they don't really care. Yeah. So that's the one that you really see when
There's the
Spider-
movie scene.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we all the comic movies generally would be based off a comic. So I think it's very important that most the people who like this little genre to keep to the comic books, or even creators, movie creators, they should reference to the original source because this is proven that it works.
Yeah. I remember that I was reading this series particularly maybe in like early mid 2000s because we have the Indonesian version. Back then I was still in high school or early college days. This is one of the first comic book that I use for a reference. All that the 90s style.
Yes, yes,
yeah.
Understand.
That kind of drawing the black, the solid black, and please, guys, fellows, you the aspiring comic artists, please like create more this kind of panels because look how dynamic it is. Like it's
You put your
bird
characters,
eye and it
yeah,
wow.
and the
That's
background it pops up.
it not just head talking and then
Yes.
maybe like we as a aspiring comic artist or we are still learning if we get a script about Peter laying down in his bed maybe we will draw it like from the side 90 degrees.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Rarely we will think about this one which is normal. I think that's the importance of reference.
True, reference, but you don't need to stick to it.
Don't swipe it. Never swipe. Don't
Yes.
AI it.
Yeah, but anyway, just see it as it is, and maybe in your interpretation you can tweak it a little bit. Sure.
Don't imagine how to draw, but always try to use reference if you can for your comic. Yeah.
Is that how it's done? No, how it's shared in the Comxnaut class?
Usually, I would say that if you would try to draw from imagination, okay, this is taught by many art teachers from schools to
True,
even
true,
comic artists, is that you cannot really imagine something new. You need to see certain things
Very
that
good.
reminds you in your brain,
Yes.
that bring back forth the memory. Then that is where you get your creative from it. When you draw something, that is how usually comics are done. Is we do not really imagine, but we try to reface our memory.
Yeah, as a lot of our students always face this, they are trying too hard to imagine, but don't try too hard. You have to see it before you can imagine, then rotate how you would view it differently. You have to see more than required so you can imagine more about it. If you don't see it, you definitely do not know how you're going to imagine. Or try to look for a reference that you actually have in your mind. Just try.
But nowadays we are easily enchanted by all these sources in YouTube videos,
Right.
showing the masters like Jim Lee or the late Kim Jong-gi. It looks like that they are drawing from imagination.
They are. However, the videos you see, they look like it's done effortlessly.
Yeah,
But do you know how many
pages.
or trials they have done before that? If I remember a certain interview, they did say Jim Lee, on the average of, he's considered very fast, needs about 5 trials to get a panel right. So if you can't get it within 5, you're not stupid. Because in our
The pro.
yeah,
It's like that.
there's a Mensa test on Jim Lee is actually a genius.
Sure,
Yeah.
definitely.
You can see the way he draw perspective is like, wow, is this? You can feel it.
Too bad we don't have a good enough camera, so we cannot show the
Goosebumps.
all those spider sense working.
Maybe it's Spiderman.
And the fact, right, is that it's not drawing 1,000 image of the same thing will help you improve your art, but instead of drawing it correctly and anatomy correctly, then that is where you get it right. And if the more you practice it correctly, the more you will draw it faster. When you draw it faster, you will get...
Your subject matter is revisited, of course you will do it
that's
better.
right.
Also, a lot of guys, they try very hard to push themselves. Yes, you do need to push yourself, but maybe you need to slow down to focus. Sometimes they try too hard. You need to relax. In the words of the wise,
Don't think, feel.
there we go.
Don't think, feel.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Yeah, guys, if you're wondering why we suddenly switched from talking about comics and into talking about comic making, because we're Comxnaut. We have classes,
Yes.
we have publishing,
Yes.
and we have comic shops. So that's what we are gonna talk in the series of this podcast.
Yeah.
Uncle says what?
So we come from various walks, but all tied by comics. So we got a good perspective of being a retailer, being a creator, being a teacher, etc., etc. How do we put this about? Well, generally the main goal is to share this simple hobby that was obscure back then, but these days now, to you guys. So I wouldn't say thank me, but yeah, you should. But
It's the OG uncle, the OG comic shop seller.
no, most of us back then, a few of us went overseas to study. So we discovered that, oh my God, this whole world of narrative storytelling, sequential art and all that. So we like fell in love instantaneously. And how the West, or specifically the US, embraced this medium. And then, of course, we have the luxury of seeing the other end of it, like the manga side, how it's created, and we did visit Japan and all that, so to see other people's, how their creation. So these two ends, back then in the 90s, is like two separate entities. Today, your comics or manga, it's almost the same.
Or webtoon.
Yes.
Right now.
It's all fused together, right? I personally, myself, when I pick up a pencil to draw, was from Tony Wong.
The master.
The Tiger Dragon Gate series. So that actually is the one that pushed me out to try to draw. You know, don't scared Madu, just draw. Yeah. So, yep, this was an issue that we randomly picked up. We just talked about it. So maybe next time, if you have something that you want to share with us or some topic,
What comic we want to
you wanna
find
talk to our
uncle
uncle, yeah.
thoughts about that?
yeah.
I'm very particularly interested in this page. Right? I'm wondering what the script say. What the
Yeah.
script said.
The script says whatever the writer will want, and it's not entirely up to the penciler, but he should follow what the writer wants that vision to be. He may switch the angle a little bit or suggest to the writers. So please, if you guys draw, work with a writer. As you know, this page, effortlessly, you take about few seconds to read. Here it is, actually, it's one picture. But the work behind it's long.
Yeah, maybe the planning, the discussion.
Yes.
Even like the decision making on put the whole black shadow.
Yes.
I think a lot of effort
Yeah,
put in.
a lot of talk, a lot of discussion. These days, we can all work from Zoom and all that, so it's way easier. So always listen to the guy that write the story.
Airplane. We are near airport, guys. So it's just like our studio also.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in our studio is the military jets lah. Flying over.
You guys from Singapore, right? So anyway, back to this. So a lot of work is done. So if those that like comics or love comics, maybe you want to go deeper and see how it's done. The story behind could be as interesting as the story presented. Right?
I cannot add anymore because it's his session. Yes, Uncle say what? So
Next time
we listen.
must say what? Yeah.
Okay, guys. I think that's it for now. We hopefully this is not like too long for a podcast, and hopefully we it's an impromptu session from us. So please mind, maybe the quality, the ambience, and next time
We will definitely try it and get more better ambience, but we are always on the move, so wherever we are. So maybe you want to see how this uncle lived.
go visit our studio. Where is it, Ron?
Okay, it's located in Gourmet Arts Center. Okay, if you're wondering where is that from, right, it's actually in Mountbatten Road. And you can locate it through Circle Line if you're using MRT. So if you're wondering where is the floor, right, it's at Block B, 05-11.
Yeah, knock. Usually we are.
Yes. And if you're interested to make comics, don't forget to come and find us.
Yeah. Well, not necessary that you have to need our approval, but of course, if you wish to, we are always open to share. Sharing is free.
You can draw in our studio, right?
Yeah, plenty of
It's like a co-working space.
Yeah.
A co-creating space since we are creators. Hopefully.
whatever it is. Drop us a line, ring us up, whatever.
Hey, you can contact us from the website here. Hopefully I can edit.
Yeah.
And in the phone and Instagram, everything.
All right,
And
cheers.
let me know what you think about this podcast. Do put comments and likes, shares, subscribe, please, so we can monetize this.
All right,
Thank you, guys.
See you.
See you.
Bye-bye.